You're listening to Talk Star Wars, a proud member of the Star Wars Commonwealth Podcast Network. Check us out on the web at starwarscommonwealth.com and take your first steps into a larger world. Talk Star Wars is a production of Emotionally 14. For fantastic podcasts, video series, blog posts, and much more, visit us on the web at emotionally14.com and enjoy content for the permanently teenaged.
Welcome to Talk Star Wars, episode 181 from Emotionally14.com. I'm your host, Rob Wade, and I'm joined as always by the Chewie to my Han, the Chewie to my Lando in some cases, and the Near Numb to my Lando, Brad Harmer-Barnes.
Very much for Yoda to your Lando. I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. So we're going to have to give a little bit of context, but actually it's kind of nice because it's our week in Star Wars.
Yeah.
And it's, for me, that's pretty much all there is. So that works
really, that's all you've done.
That's all I've had time for. You know, as you know, I'm a busy chap, and I'm doing my best
not
to.
Busy Star Wars, isn't there? Are you?
Apparently not. No, galaxies far, far away are not getting as much love as they might from the Wade stuff.
No, it's right. I'm picking up your slack as always.
Yeah, exactly. You can bring the average up between us. That's fine. So we played a game of Star Wars Rebellion last night.
We played Star Wars Rebellion, two of us last night. Man, what a story we told.
We did.
We did the Galactic Civil War. Without bringing Luke Skywalker into the equation.
Yep.
You managed to recruit Obi-Wan Kenobi and Han and Lando and Chewie.
Yep.
Which does beg the question why Obi-Wan thought it was okay just to leave Luke unsupervised.
Yeah, it does. It doesn't leave many people to. I mean, Crix Maydean didn't get picked up, so maybe he was.
Maybe he tapped him in.
Yeah, he's just like, I defected for this.
Fine. I've left him in a lefty window, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So, it was good.
I successfully converted Leia to the dark side as Darth.
As you
we never came up with a name for her, did we?
Indeed.
Darth Alderaan.
Yeah, we couldn't figure out.
No. If you've got a suggestion for a dark side Darth name for Leia, then pitch in, guys.
Yeah, indeed.
Can't be expected to do everything.
That seems fair.
We do enough.
Yeah.
It was a really, really good game. Played. It was about just over 3 hours, I think we were at it for.
Sounds about right.
Reforged. And I can't remember why Lando flew to Dagobah to collect Yoda.
Because it was funny.
Okay, you know what? It's us. That's a perfectly reasonable explanation.
There was no option, so the card doesn't allow. Initially, I thought, well, what a waste of a card because Luke didn't come out of the draw. Mm-hmm. But then I realised that it didn't have to be Luke. It's just that if you go with Luke, you get a bonus. So I decided Lando is funnier than Obi-Wan, bearing in mind Obi-Wan and Yoda actually know each other.
He's going to get his cape dirty.
Absolutely, yeah. So I thought, why not just send them on over?
This swamp is getting worse all the time.
Yeah. Hello, what have we here? Oh, the Dutch, I would say. Oh.
It was an awesome game.
It was good fun, yeah. It was really cool.
If anyone cares, the Empire won by blowing up a rebel base on Kessel.
Yes, it did. So because that's where I put it, and you found it, and
you forgot that the Death Star can blow up planets.
Well, it
needs to be said was an oversight on the part of your intelligence department.
I'll give you that. I would counter slightly by saying that it was more that I was too focused on a military storm. So I was too focused on the possibility of ground troops and failed to think about the spaceship elements.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I did have a Superstar Destroyer and the Death Star kind of loitering around your base. I can understand you.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of AT-ATs waiting to drop down as well.
Yeah, that was one of the reasons I was kind of trying to hold everything back.
Yeah. It was an awesome game.
Yeah, it was really fun.
Yeah.
It was, it was my week in Star Wars pretty much exclusively consisted of that. So, that was a good...
Yeah, well, that's cool.
Yeah, it was a good way of spending it.
Yeah, what else have I done? Star Wars? I did the Star Wars Choose Your Own Adventure book.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's Kevin Scott did an Obi-Wan and Anakin one, I think, just before episode 2.
All right.
And it's okay. As a story, it's fine. As a Choose Your Own Adventure, it's decidedly linear. As in each of the two, every time you get to two choices, one of them will end the story and the other one will continue it.
Oh, wow, yeah, that's quite... Yeah. Not about linear so much as abrupt. Because something like, obviously in the old Final Fantasy ones, you had House of Hell, which was a one true path, but you didn't necessarily know until very late on that your efforts were completely futile.
Yes.
Unless you rang the doorbell or knocked the door, whichever one it was. I could never remember. You'd think it would stick with me forever.
Yeah. House of Hell, the Final Fantasy game book, is apparently, if you kind of deconstruct it and look at actually the flowchart, as a puzzle, it's a work of genius.
Yeah.
As a game book, it's horrible.
It's a little harsh, I would say.
It's also noteworthy you can't actually complete it honestly your first time because you need information from dead paths to be able to complete it.
Right.
So it sucks. Yeah, it's very much split opinion. There are those who think it's an amazing work as a puzzle and those who think it's an awful game book. So it depends how you look at it. Kind of your focus determines your reality.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I think my experience is not the best, but immortalised forever online. So
but hilarious,
People can check that out on emotionally14.com.
Probably about 10 years ago now.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Yeah.
I mean,
and here we are still referencing it because,
it was really funny.
It was. We can milk our achievements.
Absolutely. If we don't, who will, ultimately?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Indeed. So, I should say at the top of the show, obviously, I opened last week's show with the pretty horrendously sad announcement about the passing of our dear friend Steve Kirk. I've since received a rather lovely audio tribute from Adam Sheldon of the Retro Inc. podcast and one of our helpers over on the Talk Star Wars social medias to keep the
he does do the helping thing.
He does the helping thing. Unfortunately, I was hoping to be able to just splice it in over the top of the audio now, but the setup I jerry-rigged didn't quite work out as planned. So what I'm going to do instead, so Adam, no doubt you're listening and... to make sure that you know in advance that it will be there over the end of the... So in lieu of the usual outro music this week, I'm going to just close the show with Adam's message because it's beautiful and I think people need to hear it. So
that sounds
it's going
good.
to be the end. It's going to close out the show this week will be, if you're a patron, it will be Adam's message. If you're not a patron, it will be Adam's message and then a minute of ads because otherwise it inserts it randomly in the episode and that's always
you don't want that interrupting his.
No, exactly. Yeah, so it will be the last thing from the show this week. So there you go. But moving on to happier
moving
times.
on to Vesuvi. Let's be honest.
Well, this is it. This is what happens. So as is always the case, we begin with an email from Loyal Knight of the Commonwealth Vesuvi.
Called it.
And Vesuvi writes, I did send you a copy of the notes, so
don't you ruining it.
Maybe just don't buy lottery tickets just yet. Maybe last week, so I can send you the numbers for that. That's easy enough. So Vesuvi writes, thanks, Rob. Thanks, Brad. Note to self, keep snails and slugs away from Brad.
Why would that be a thing you need to know? Why would the contrary be something you were ever planning to do? Why would you need to say make a mental note not to send me mollusks?
That is a fair question.
Who's sitting there going, I mustn't forget to email random podcast some invertebrates I found in my garden?
If anybody would, Vesuvi might.
If anyone would, Blake would, yeah.
Yeah, also Blake, to be fair. Yeah. Deepest condolences to all who knew and loved Steve Kirk of the San Diego Sabres. And I think, judging by the outpouring of support we had from, both from our kind of intro into the last week's show and obviously all the intros that have been done around the Commonwealth, a lot of whom did far better justice for Steve than I did. I was very upfront about the fact that I didn't know him that well. I wish I had, but I did the best I could with the material I had. Yeah, I wish I'd known him. Yeah, he's one of those guys, as much as I touched on last week. Cheers to our numerous Australian enthusiasts and their accompanying lions. So we get some contacts for that later on. So we just had Go Lions last week, and I think that was I do better that than Go Slugs, to be honest. Yeah, that's fair because also lions get there quicker. I mean, also, I'm not saying post me lions. If anything, make a mental note not to post me lions. Yeah, please don't. Definitely don't. That's I mean, not for nothing. If nothing else, the postage on a lion has got to be horrendous, hasn't it?
Yeah, I think leopards up, it gets really prohibitive.
Yeah, well, they start with kittens. That's like you can get away with those in one of those. You have to obviously, I'm going to begin with a legal disclaimer. Although that's pretty much common knowledge. You poke air holes in the top, obviously.
Yeah,
but it starts with kittens. You can get those in if you really, if they're really cuddly, you can get them in a large letter.
Yes, you can.
Yeah. Small parcels for the kind of anything up to basically like a vole.
Yeah, I suppose so.
Yeah, also partly because, kittens are a bit easier going about things like legroom.
Yeah, they're generally happy. They quite like being thrown around sometimes, so you don't even need to put a fragile label on them. They kind of see it as rough housing.
Yeah, they like the rough and tumble.
Yeah.
Obviously, with tongue firmly planted in cheek, we continue. But
I'm not saying actually. If that who our listeners are, I need to say to them, don't post me mollusk and don't throw a kitten against the wall. Do I have to tell these people, please bubble wrap your ligers responsibly?
I don't believe so, no. But it's always, as a publisher, we have to be.
Yeah, we've got due diligence to do.
It's just to make sure we cover all our bases.
Yeah. So, don't post ligers.
Exactly, yeah. None of that stuff that we mentioned, don't do that. So Vesuvi continues.
Hey.
Since you asked politely, it would be particularly unfortunate if she just ended it there, not least of all because it would be very abrupt.
It would,
and a little bit rude, quite frankly.
Like a bad game book, yeah.
Yeah. Thankfully, Vesuvi is no such, has no such rudeness in her body, I believe.
I've always said that.
Yeah. So Vesuvi continues, since you asked politely. The Girl from Ipanema was composed by Antonio Carlos Jobim.
Who should come through?
The original Portuguese lyrics were written by Vinicius de Moraes, and I'm probably butchering that pronunciation. I don't speak Portuguese, but and the English lyrics were adapted by Norman Gimbel, who passed away just last December at the ripe old age of 91.
Wow, that's pretty good going.
That is impressive.
It's in every John Landis movie. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
It's one of his directors. Every John Landis movie has Girl from Ipanema in it.
It's a good, it's a catchy tune and it's understandably popular.
In Blues Brothers, it's playing in the lift. Certainly in American Werewolf, I think it's in the cinema. It's always just kind of incidental, but it's in every one of his films.
Yeah, and also inspired the wonderful B-52 song "Girl from Ipanema Goes to Greenland." So what else could you ask for? Really, it's a catchy song, and it inspired another catchy song. In regards to Michael's challenge, my flick would be called "One Last Rogue Phantom."
Oh, I like it.
About an ancient Jedi consciousness who, after death and eons of effort, finally learned to manifest a Force spirit far in the future, when no sentient beings are alive to perceive said apparition. He sits around on large rocks and recites pearls of wisdom to smaller rocks. Other Force spectres would, with great merriment, not tell him that one of the facets of being a ghost means he transcends time and can project himself back to an era in which living beings existed. This amuses the more aware spooks to no end, literally, since they are infinite. Best to ye makers, listeners, and assorted porgs, Vesuvi, Knight of the Commonwealth.
I will say One Last Rogue Phantom sounds more like a Bond movie than a Star Wars movie.
I know what you mean. Yeah, I sort of like the idea of One Last Rogue, and that's Wedge, it's like Wedge Antilles.
Oh, yeah, I like that.
Facing down a First Order invasion or something,
Yeah.
Something like that.
Or some kind of connection to Rogue One would be good, actually.
That would be kind of cool.
Yeah, which maybe, I don't know, finds K2SO's memory or something.
Yeah, that's not a bad shout. Vesuvi has a PS. The sticky-fingered group you were grasping for in your pseudo-cynical spiel during Dear Dave's query, there's beautiful alliteration here.
She's wonderful.
Were the Irving boys. Oddly enough, I knew that without having to look it up.
Right.
Not surprising. I'm not surprised in the slightest.
She's a walking Wikipedia.
This is true. Vesuvi, thank you very much for that, and thank you for the trivia regarding Girl from Ipanema as well, which is always useful to have, just in case you're ever waylaid by a pub quiz. Yeah,
it happens to the best of us.
Yeah, once or twice, I think, probably. Nobody can prove otherwise, so let's stick with that. So our next message comes from Dave, the aforementioned Dave. Regards to Dave's query, that would be the same.
Dave from Western Australia, or
that is Dave from Western Australia.
Yeah, I was right. Hey, I'm learning. I'm getting the hang of my Daves.
This is good. You've got your Daves in a row.
Yeah, that's good.
Dave writes, "Good day, gents. Thanks for the interesting discussion about Palpatine as initiated by Matt's email last episode. It made me think about the discussions around how the appearance of a physical Palpatine in Episode 9 could undermine the redemption of Anakin in Return of the Jedi. I came up with a theory that's probably already been floated, but I amused myself with the prospects of it being my own.
Okay.
I think that's 90% of fandom, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Coming up with something that actually was on Reddit a few months ago and deciding you came up... I made this.
Yeah.
What if, around the time of the end of A New Hope, Palpatine has learned of this new threat in the form of Luke Skywalker?
Yes.
He puts two and two together and thinks, bugger, Anakin must have pumped out a kid prior to me turning him. If the kid's as powerful as his old man, I'm going to have to prepare for this. Now, we know that in Empire, when Vader attempts to coerce Luke to the dark side on Bespin, he says something along the lines of, "You can destroy the Emperor. He has foreseen it." By the way, I love the expression on Luke's face when he hears this. A sort of, wow, no Sith expression, no Sith expression. This foreseen knowledge of Palpatine's reinforces his need to prepare himself. He opens up his little black book of the galaxy and makes contacts with the Kaminoans. He reminds them how his previous order of 100 million clone troopers bumped the clone factory's share price through the roof and places one final order, a clone of himself. So, given Palpatine's power to foresee such events like his own demise, he's prepared his clone to assume the task of Luke's conversion to the dark side on the new Death Star in Return of the Jedi. The Palpatine we see in Return of the Jedi was in fact his clone. Not even Vader could sense it. This theory could avoid the undermining of Anakin's redemption, as he did actually believe he was killing the Emperor and saving his son. Palpatine was blindsided by Vader as he sent his clone in as a proxy under the assumption Luke was the one to destroy him. Sitting back with his feet up in a dark, nasty Sith cave and watching events transpire through his Force vision, the real Palpatine sets in motion a new plan. A plan that uses his old Sith Master Plagueis' work to create his own clone and seek revenge on the Skywalker lineage. A clone in the form of a young girl. I should be working for Disney. Thanks for enlightening our Star Wars lives through these boring dark times. May the Force be with you, Dave in Western Australia. Verdict?
There's a lot there I actually quite like in terms of creative storytelling. In terms of creative storytelling, there's a lot there I actually quite like. But in terms of narrative and story structure, doesn't quite sit for me. I guess on the surface value, it seems to work.
Okay.
But when you start thinking about it and what it means in terms of character arcs and the more back end stuff of storytelling, I guess it doesn't work. Like we've said on previous episodes, if Vader doesn't kill Palpatine, it does weaken Anakin's redemption. So I like the idea he's put forward of it wasn't Palpatine after all. But it only really works on the surface. It's kind of like a wrestling angle, I guess. Wrestling angles can work just in terms of show and substance and, that's clever. And you don't ever stop and think about them afterwards and really analyze them in terms of storytelling technicalities because you don't. No. Unless you're super into your wrestling, in which case that's an entirely different conversation altogether.
Sure.
But I think it's fair to say wrestling storytelling doesn't work the same way as conventional storytelling does.
That's fair.
And this feels, on the surface, it's great, but this is a film that's going to be poured over and analysed. And I think people will pick structural holes in that. I mean, halfway through, I thought he was just rehashing Dark Empire, but that kind of bait and switch of it's actually the real Palpatine still out there, and the clone was the one that was destroyed. Down, I like that idea.
Yeah.
An issue I do have, and this is not particularly with Dave because it's something I've seen mentioned again and again in emails in the show, on Reddit threads, on clickbait. So this isn't me ticking on Dave in particular. This is just a recurring thing I've noticed. Stop saying Rey is a Palpatine clone, because that's not how clones work. A clone is an exact copy. You can't have a female clone of a male. You can't have an African-American clone of a Caucasian. That's not how clones work. It's a duplication of their DNA. Yeah. So Rey might be affiliated with Palpatine in some way.
Yeah.
a gene splice, maybe. I mean, I'm not, contrary to popular opinion, I am not a geneticist. But
there are lots of systems in place to stop that from happening, in fact. More than I expected when I did the research.
I got asked to leave due to gross misconduct in the first seminar. And no, he's not going to be a clone. The clones are clones of Jango Fett.
Yeah.
They are altered to have their growth rate increased. Boba Fett is an unaltered clone of Jango Fett. And you'll notice that Boba Fett is the same as Jango Fett.
Yeah.
He's not a female Jango Fett. He's not a black Jango Fett. Okay, he's a clone. I can't believe I'm having to explain. So Rey is not, by very virtue of the physical differences between Ian McDiarmid and Daisy Ridley, Rey is not a Palpatine.
No. I just, one thing that crossed my mind is you could have a Tarantino Star Wars crossover and you could have Jango Fett with a D. And then you got Jamie Foxx in Star Wars, which I'm all for because I love Jamie Foxx and I think he should get all the jobs.
Yeah, no, he's lovely.
Yeah, he's great. So I would be good with that. But yeah, I like the idea of Jango Fett with a D, DJ Jango Fett, not DJ Jango Fett. That's weird.
Yeah, if they are going to go down that route, the only thing that would save it for me would be have a Kaminoan scientist pop up and say, "Of course, you realise it's not actually a clone."
Still, we should act like it's a clone. It isn't.
Yeah,
the Austin Powers 3 defense. All right, I'm with it.
Yeah, there's ways they can do it because it's space fantasy rather than sci-fi. But no, she can't. People seem desperate to bring the cloning thing in for episode 9.
I think I have this sense that people have kind of picked up on. There's been I remember there being a lot of talk about the prequels as a kind of source material. Yeah, there was more. There was wording that suggested that there was more attention being used to gather story threads from the prequels than people might think. That was the kind of gist I was picking up from bits and pieces. I wonder if people have glommed onto that.
It was weird, especially considering the lengths Disney went to make people forget about the prequels in the lead up to Force Awakens.
Yeah, there was definitely a sense that they were like, let's just focus on,
Yeah.
I mean, I still maintain you're probably better off pointing to the prequels than A New Hope because, the comparisons are harder to broach as a general rule. But, not in any, obviously not in any way that ruins the film, do my due diligence and so on.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I know what you mean. There was a kind of, it did feel like, it wasn't so much that they were consciously trying to downplay them. It was just they weren't doing anything to big them up when other stuff was being kind of elevated.
Yeah,
so it's kind of like by a mission almost.
Yeah, it was a mission. It was, they weren't going, hey, everyone, the prequels sucked, didn't they? Don't worry, these are going to be good. They had a very positive spin on it, which was, hey, we're going to do practical effects. We're going to do...
Yeah.
We've got the original trilogy casts are coming in for it, so it was done in a positive spin way. At no point did they denigrate their own brand, which would have been stupid anyway. Totally. Especially as a couple of years down the line, and then go, "Oh yeah, we're going to start doing Clone Wars again." And
exactly. Yeah. But that thing you told us sucked. Yeah. Good luck.
I don't know that cloning's going to. I think it's because clones and time travel are easy story mechanics to use without a lot of thought.
Right.
You can just go, oh, well, yeah, we can bring them back as a clone.
Mm-hmm.
It's, well, we know that character's dead. Yeah, but we can bring him back as a clone, or we can time travel all this. And I don't. People really seem to want to bring cloning into it in some way, and the cloning, with the exception of that's how the Galactic Army was created. It's not like cloning is a recurring theme.
No,
in Star Wars,
it's touched on. Yeah, it's touched on in dialogue quite a few times.
Okay, but in passing, there's never been, with the exception of Luke in the Thrawn trilogy, there's never been a clone-centered story, is there?
No, I suppose not. Just the obviously the old Karen Travis stuff, like the Republic Commander stuff. But then
that was military sci-fi about some clones.
Yeah,
the act of cloning or being a clone was occasionally referenced for character purposes, but it wasn't a driving force behind the story.
No,
so the
true.
idea that episode 9 is going to be hung very heavily on cloning
seems unlikely. Yeah.
It's weird to me.
I think it is just there may be an element of it's easy to tell a cool story, and there's certain words that kind of lend themselves to ooh, and I think clone is one of them.
It's more like if they'll, just imagine there was actually some hype over the new Terminator movie. It would be if the fans over that were convinced and arguing that Leadworks was going to be integral to the plot. It's like, well, not really.
I would love that to be the theme of a frame.
It was part of one of the stories.
Yeah.
But and that's how cloning is almost for Star Wars. It's like it's a minor part of the story.
It's a mechanic, yeah.
Yeah, it's a means of bringing an army out of nowhere.
Yeah.
It's not a theme that should be used to unify all 9 films.
No.
I mean, there's every chance I'm going to be completely wrong, and it's going to be Clone City, the musical, when it finally arrives. But just for me, it's one of those things people seem to have glommed onto, and I'm just sitting here going, well, it may be, but that's not the conclusion I came to.
Yeah,
I guess. Yeah. I'm obviously I can't sit and tell people they're wrong because God knows which
we don't know. Yeah, we don't know what's going to happen.
But to me, it's just like the cloning is so incidental.
Yeah.
Yeah. There are important themes in Star Wars, like father figures. Mm-hmm. And the father figure crops up again. It's not just the "I am your father" moment. It's Anakin. No, there was no father. Anakin says to Obi-Wan, "You're the closest thing I have to a father."
Yeah.
Luke has a whole mystery around who his father is. This is a recurring theme, and if anything, that's something that should be in episode 9. Similarly, to me, another important part of the entire Star Wars saga is points of view. From what I told you is true, from a certain point of view, your focus determines your reality. There's all these it's a recurring motif in the Star Wars saga. Even and again, in passing, it's things like Yoda says, difficult to see what emotion the future is. The whole idea that what you perceive of the galaxy is only your perception.
Yeah.
That, to me, is an important part. Cloning isn't.
No. It's a trade in the galaxy.
Yeah, that's to me, when they say, we need to kind of unify episode 9, that to me is, well, then it should be unified thematically. Yeah, is what needs to be touched upon and brought in episode 9.
Yeah, as opposed to what are all the various tradesmen up to around the galaxy.
Oh, we better write Watto in. Don't forget about Watto. People want to know what he's been up to all these decades.
I've been desperate. I've been submitting fanfics left, right, and centre.
Yeah.
No.
So to me, there are episode 9 needs to have connections thematically. It doesn't. And to me, from my perspective, and again, I'm not going to sell any fan they're wrong or they're doing Star Wars wrong. To me, the cloning thing is so incidental in the bigger picture of the story.
Yeah, I'm with you in so much as I like the kind of the tack that Dave's put on this and the sheen of it.
Oh, absolutely.
It's not Dave's fault that I'm just not a fan of this premise.
No, I said, there's a lot about his pitch I really, really like. And like I said, with surface value, I was sitting there going, actually, you know what, that is really good.
Yeah.
And this is the kind of story, it's of a standard, in my opinion. This pitch may have been pitched at a story writing session, or J. Abrams may have kicked around an idea like that as almost like a draft stage. So I'm not knocking Dave at all. I think this is an excellent pitch. I think this is an excellent story idea.
Yeah.
But I think at it's a spark. It'll get kicked around a little bit and reshifted. I don't think it would ever see production in this exact format.
No,
but there's a lot to love here.
I think he should. He touches on it. He should be working for Disney. They need people to kick sparks around.
Yeah, so, absolutely.
Why
not? Be the spark that lights the fire. That
the First Order. They won't like that.
We'll do that.
Yeah.
He can write dialogue as well, I assume.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, it's certainly better than we can manage because we can't even recall dialogue.
Yeah.
But yeah, Dave, get your CV polished up, mate. Why not? Stranger things have happened.
Yeah.
Season 3 just finished.
Every week he does that joke. Every week, new listeners.
Yeah. Do you want to go down the repeating stuff? Because neither of us are going to win. Yeah. Anyway.
Well, you know what they say.
Good. Yeah, I'm glad we agree. All right. Our next message comes from Arthur. And it's been a little while since we heard from Arthur. So it's nice that we hear from him.
Yeah.
So Arthur writes, hello, gentlemen.
Hello.
It's a very well-to-do Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yes.
Hello, gentlemen.
Very junior Ganymede.
Pip, cheerio and all that.
Yeah.
Quick question. All right.
Got him? Quick answer.
Could The Rise of Skywalker end with all Jedi or Light users and all Sith or Darkseid users dying to clear a path to allow the storytelling to move forward, with characters trying to rediscover the Force and, in a sense, reboot the story? Keep up the good work.
Yes.
I think it totally could. I
Absolutely.
think there's no reason why it couldn't. I think actually that could give them freedom further down the line. They probably have to do it a few generations hence. But to kind of almost retread the theme of that Dawn of the Jedi series, the Legends one, which was all about the first people to figure out the Force was a thing.
Yeah,
you could almost go down that route.
First age.
I mean, it doesn't bode well for Broom Boy because, of course, he's only just found out he can do that, and he's
as far as we know, it only works on household cleaning utensils. Yeah,
he's probably can't believe his luck. Like, this is going to save me so much time. Like, I can leave the broom halfway across the thing, go and tidy up, and then just summon it across.
Literally just works on brooms.
Yeah, this is it. He's just discovered all this stuff. His world's just
He tried it on a spatula once and made a terrible mistake.
Oh, yes, that's it. That's why he's on broom duty, because he can't be trusted with the kitchenware anymore. Yeah. Just so much blood.
Ladle to head and a fork where a fork don't fit.
Exactly. Well, I could see this happening completely. Yeah. There's only two and Broom Boy.
Yeah.
There are three.
But the kind of extra sketch ending.
And Leia, I guess. We don't know what form Palpatine's taken, so.
Lando's teamed up with Yoda now.
That's true, yeah. So
bang, cannon hammer.
Are we treating that as our Talk Star Wars canon is pretty much up to us, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
I'd say almost exclusively, in fact.
Yeah. See men go mad in a room.
That is pretty much our dynamic.
I think it would be a bold move if they did do that, but they've surprised me before.
Yeah, I say I don't think it's necessarily likely. I'll say that, but I do think it's possible, and I do think it would, and I think it would have. There would be some sense to it. The Skywalker line ends, and for that period of time, the Force goes a bit dark because there's no fight left anymore. Balance is struck in the kind of most literal of senses.
I mean, it's a very Lord of the Rings ending.
It is a little Lord of the Rings ending.
If everyone's going to sail off into the Undying Lands.
Yeah, there is that element to it. Hopefully they don't go down that route because, I mean, Lord of the Rings, Return of the King had plenty of endings without adding the Star Wars endings onto it. It seems like it doesn't need the help, Yeah. It's, to me, that seems excessive.
I love when people criticise Return of the King for having too many endings, like they didn't cut an entire ending out of the book.
Oh, sure, yeah, but I mean, I think the trick is it's already that many. Yeah, and then there's more.
I get it.
Yeah.
Star Wars is in danger of having that problem, in my opinion.
How do you mean?
There's a lot of things to wrap up.
Oh, I see what you mean. Okay.
I can see we may end up with a bit of a Return of the King ending to Episode 9.
Right.
Which would be a shame because all of the others have got quite percussive endings.
Let's break it down. So what do they have to wrap up? So obviously they've talked about it's going to be the end of the Skywalker saga, right? So we know that's going to be a thing, right? So what does that, to your mind, what does that entail?
Well, we've got two Skywalkers left in putting aside the question of Israel Skywalker.
Sure.
We have two Skywalkers left in Leia and Ben.
Yep.
So that needs wrapping up.
Yep.
The fate of the First Order will need wrapping up.
Yep.
Rey's arc will need wrapping up. For some reason, people want Poe Dameron's arc wrapping up.
I can see it. He got, in terms of character, his character probably developed one of the most in the second film, I would say. Yeah,
that's true. I'm a little harsh on Poe Dameron because I just think he's Maverick in space.
I mean, that's kind of That's probably the elevator pitch.
Yeah.
You know, a Maverick in space.
The droids deserve an ending.
Okay. But what form does that take?
I don't know. Maybe everyone gets a happy ending, apart from the droids who just get the blue screen of death.
Isn't it wonderful, R2? Oh, hang on, he's having an update. Bear with me.
It just goes, oh, well, R2, that was quite...
Yeah.
Dun, 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 dun.
What
The last shot of Star Wars Episode 9 is just the blue screen of death.
Yeah,
How bold would that be?
Yeah, BB-8's just, you can see in the eyes, it's just the Mac Rainbow wheels, just a couple of those just going around. And it actually just... The ending just kind of skips and stuff. It's like, it doesn't just play out linear. It just keeps going.
Oh, great with this P.
Yeah. I think, you know, if they want to do bold new forms of storytelling and subvert expectations, it's that kind of stuff I want to see, you know?
Yeah.
None of this, no.
World between worlds.
Yeah. No, definitely.
None of that. Just blue screen of death.
Blue screen of death.
Yeah. Boom.
Yeah. Ding, 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 ding. That's it.
Yeah.
Out of interest, as a quick aside, what do you make of the rumblings that are doing around that John Williams recorded 2 hours and 15 minutes? Do you think it's all in the film?
No, it's probably he probably wrote and recorded more than will be in the final edit. It might average out actually, because I think with the exception of Last Jedi, isn't there normally a sequence with no music for Ben Burt to kind of show off?
Well, yeah, but I mean, there's lots of, you know, I think all films have large portions of no music. Like, I think I don't know how much, you know, I'm sure there is somewhere written down every film by how much music there is. How much of the scenes have music, rather?
Yeah, I think for sequences in the film which won't have music and music that will have been recorded and be edited out, it'll probably average out to, but it'll probably be around 2.25 hours.
Yeah, well, that's
I think those two things will cancel each other out, so it's probably pretty true.
Yeah. No, I don't disagree. I think the question was, the reason I ask is because I saw a few people kind of infer that meant the movie's going to be epic length, which I don't think is necessarily. I don't think that's necessarily how it works.
I think The Last Jedi was the longest one at 2.5 hours, right?
Yeah, so far.
Yeah. I'd be surprised if this movie is over 2.5 hours.
Yeah, I'm the same. I think, you know, I would be very surprised, having, you know, done a fair bit of audio production myself. Mm-hmm. Certainly,
Star Wars movies.
There you go. Certainly, you don't get. I mean, obviously, you don't get movies with more music than there was recorded. That doesn't quite work on a logistical level.
No, that just means something's feeding back somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. You need to figure out where your levels are going wrong and sort it out. So you hear that? Go sort it out. We'll wait.
Yeah.
But obviously, I've recorded hundreds of hours of audio in the last few years, and I would say realistically, let's say 2/3 of it's been used. You know,
that's fair. I think sometimes with Blake, you have to cut a bit more out. But,
but some of his tirades, they're just so. I don't know where he's so angry.
He's not allowed on Euroclix UK anymore after the Black Panther debacle.
Where was I talking about?
I've literally no idea.
No. Yeah, so
we're just cross-promoting E14 things.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, ultimately, people have come to expect this by now, and it's the kind of thing I should be doing. So,
and our listener count is fairly steady, so
yeah, I think we can take the risk. But I would be very surprised if, you know, of the 2.25 hours, there's a good chance that you might use an hour and a half. Even like that's 135 minutes. You're looking at 90 minutes is 2/3. Mm-hmm. That sounds about right to me.
Yeah, no,
that's an hour and a half's worth of final use cut.
It sounds perfectly cromulent to me.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't necessarily think there's anything to the idea that 2.25 hours of music means minimum 2.25 hours of musical scenes. I think that's unrealistic. This is part of the problem that I have with the information age, and obviously there are massive upsides to the age of the world in which we live now in terms of the ability to get information where you couldn't before. But at the same time, what it also means is there's lots of people desperate to fill column space, both in the literal and digital sense. And I saw this, and this is we touched on a wrestling thing a little while ago. I saw this week. Those articles, in the space of 1 week, the same website ran the following articles. Rumour, character will be changed to be more kid-friendly. Update, wrestler behind character, updates to say this is not true. It's like, well, you've done quite well out of that outlet because you've made something up and then reported on being called out on it. Very well. I mean, it's very well played. I have to admire it in a morbid way. But, this is the world in which we live. People are so, outlets are so desperate to sort of fill column inches in the literal and virtual sense and in the sort of metaphorical sense, that they're willing to jump on literally anything. How many outlets now have reported, and I realise that I'm testing the water as I say this, we're recording the day before D23 drops a bunch of stuff. So I may end up, with egg on my face by the time this goes out, and I'll live with that. At the time of recording, there has been no confirmation from Lucasfilm about an Obi-Wan movie, but how many outlets have reported it as stone cold fact? And that's not to say facts presented by Steve Austin, but it's plenty. It's more than enough. Outlets have actually just completely uncritically reported it as it's definitely happening. A reliable source has said. Nobody seems to be able to name this reliable source, which doesn't suggest to me a huge amount of reliability. And how many times have we been burned before with this stuff? Not us, because we've been burned before, and as a result, a bit more, reticent to jump in with both feet. But and I do understand it, because I think a lot of it is just people want stuff, and then when they hear something that means they might get what they want, they're excited, as they have every right to be. I heard about the Event Horizon thing, and I didn't sleep for 3 days. I was so excited. But that was a confirmation. That was actually a thing that was confirmed to be happening.
A news release,
Yeah, that was a thing that was confirmed to be happening.
Yeah, I've said on the show so many times, don't buy it till you eye it. But as you say, when disreputable news outlets are shouting about it so loudly, and sometimes reputable news outlets are shouting about it so loudly, it's hard to... But, it's never been easy to do your own fact-checking.
No, it's and it's also increasingly difficult because everybody's got a spin on stuff as well. So, and not everybody's upfront about their spin. Yeah.
I'm not saying that the Kenobi thing isn't happening.
Sure.
By a long shot, I would be foolish to say it's definitely not happening.
We don't know.
But that's it. We don't know.
Yeah.
And Star Wars is masterful at pulling off surprises.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And stopping you from not seeing stuff it doesn't want you to see. That's what they're very good at. And
yeah, exactly.
If the greatest twist in the saga's history can be hidden from the actor who delivered the line, then it's...
Till the very last minute,
Yeah, it's pretty spectacular.
Yeah, exactly. This is... I'm actually quite impressed with Lucasfilm in so much as... it would be really easy to drop news left, right, and centre and kind of keep the tap on a drip. But they've done a really good job, and they've done this consistently throughout the whole. And it's frustrating for us as content creators because there's theoretically less to talk about. But it just, they could very easily milk the news cycle for all it's worth, but they're doing very much a less is more thing. And I actually really quite appreciate that.
Yeah,
because it does mean we've got less to talk about on a weekly, a week-to-week basis. But at the same time, there's a lot of kind of geek-friendly media now.
Yeah,
and so it would be very possible for the little bits and pieces to get lost in the shuffle as well. So I think we do. We give Disney and Lucasfilm a little bit of stick, and I think rightly so for things like the solo marketing and bits and pieces along the way. But there's a lot of stuff they do really well.
Yes, absolutely.
And the less is more thing, I think, especially when it comes to the saga movies, has been fantastic.
Yes.
The Rogue One. You think about Rogue One, right? When Rogue One was sort of in production, they managed to get wall-to-wall coverage from two really short bits and pieces. One was the initial kind of reveal, where it was like the how did they do it? It was like. It was the intro crawl from A New Hope, and then it was garbled over like with gunfire and war stuff, and that got people talking. And then they had the Celebration exclusive Vader breathing in the trailer, like the little teaser with Vader at the end.
Mm-hmm.
And that did the rounds because obviously that nothing at Celebration stays exclusive to Celebration forever. Like it's within 10 minutes, somebody's like, we saw a thing at the end because they want the social media engagement from being the first one to talk about it because people are going to retweet that, like that, share that, thumbs up it, whatever Tumblr does, upvote on Reddit. I don't know. I don't keep track. So many of these different mechanisms, they all amount to the same thing, which is that's a nice thing. Here's some dopamine. So there's a lot of things they do really well. I think that it's fair to give them some stick for stuff where we feel like they've dropped the ball, but the less is more thing I think has served them really well when it comes to not talking about stuff in great depth and, like I say, not taking the risk of some reasonably decent size plot detail or some decent size character thing getting lost in the shuffle. And I think the Star Wars show is a big part of that as well. It's a really well put together production. I mean, they win Emmys all the time for their thing.
Fair.
Yeah, exactly. If they're doing a television production level quality on YouTube, and that's no mean feat.
None taken. Yeah.
I remember how we get here, but I think we've answered Arthur's question.
Yes. Yes. Anyway, that's not how claims work.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's one of the ways we got here.
Yeah.
So our next message comes from Matt, and Matt writes, "Hello, team. Cheers for your thoughts last week and sifting through my nonsense. For this week's nonsense, we're talking episode 9 again. However, cool. I'd like to know who would be a character you'd love to see in it. Any character from any era. My choice is now Suspicious the Hutt, but mainly as a background character who is unsure of everything and everyone." Incidentally, I did see people like Rick Villanueva and a couple of other people were trying to make Suspicious the Hutt canon as a trending, and I love it.
Brilliant.
And I feel your love, and I love you for it.
We're coming for you, Turbus.
My only rule is it doesn't have to be somebody that just movie viewers would know. So if you really want to see Thrawn, chuck him in. Perhaps he could team up with Suspicious the Hutt for a buddy cop team.
Oh, now I want to see that as a spin-off movie.
There you go. Cheers all. Go Lions. To clarify, they're my AFL team. I'm not just a big fan of Lions in general. None taken.
Okay.
Matt.
What's AFL?
Something Australian Football League, maybe? Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
It might be Aussie rules. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't know.
I would imagine that's probably some sort of football league.
Aussie rules is the one that's more like Blood Bowl than anything else, right?
That's the one. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Australian Football League. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Whether it's Aussie rules or not, I'm not sure. It just says Sports League.
Okay. Cool.
Sports ball.
Who are your teams out of interest? Not necessarily AFL. What teams do you support out of interest? Not necessarily AFL.
Me personally.
Yeah.
I don't really know
any sport.
I'm trying to think. So I don't really have a team as such. I'm gonna rattle off a couple of teams that I've supported.
I thought you were Aston Villa supporter.
Yeah, this is the closest I've got.
Okay.
Yeah, that's kind of the closest I have to a team is Aston Villa.
Because you're from Birmingham.
Yeah, obviously. Yeah. So yeah, clearly from my voice.
Yeah.
Bullied a lot. Just no, that's not true. I made that up.
Yeah.
Just bullied a bit. It's fine. Yeah. I'm over it. So in terms of football wise, the closest I have to a team of my own is Aston Villa. That's what I play. So like to kind of give a bit of context on that, it's like the team I play in FIFA and Football Manager.
Yeah,
if that's the team I'm aiming to get to, if I start unemployed in Football Manager. Although actually, funny enough, in my last game I did turn them down, but that's mainly because I wanted to get my team into the Premier League, and I thought, winners never quit and quitters never win. Turned down Chelsea, Real Madrid, and Aston Villa to try and get Notts County in the Premier League. And
I feel like there's got to be a series of me and you playing Football Manager together.
Missed out on the playoffs by 1 point on my last season in charge before I was retired by the game.
Kids, do you want to see me and Rob play Football Manager together? Right?
Why not, right? Do you know there's actually, we joke, but actually there is a decent-sized Football Manager Let's Play community.
Yeah.
People put on outfits and dress up as kind of fantastical football managers and stuff. It's fantastic. Yeah, cool. It's brilliant.
Right, we're going to have to do that then. And as I know virtually nothing about football, it's going to be hilarious.
That would make for some entertaining times, I think.
Yeah.
So also, let me think. So in terms of, what other sports are there?
American football. Basketball,
American
hockey,
football. I quite like the
cricket.
Is it the Seahawks, Seattle?
Yes.
Yeah, that's kind of, again, that's the team I play in stuff.
Okay, yeah.
Basketball, I really like the Toronto Raptors, but I feel terrible that I've only ever played NBA once, and I played so badly that the little dinosaur mascot stopped dancing.
Yeah.
And I've never been able to quite reconcile that.
No.
Hockey, Tampa Bay
I
Lightning.
have that with the Jurassic Park theme park builder, so I feel your pain.
Oh, fair enough.
Yeah.
Tampa Bay Lightning for hockey.
Mm-hmm.
Again, not based on anything, just one of those things when you're a kid, you choose a team at random and that's who you think of.
Yeah.
And then tennis, I've always been a Djokovic guy.
It's tennis teams, I think?
No, there's doubles. But
individual players.
Yeah. Golf, Europe.
Yeah.
Just
I guess.
Ryder Cup's like the only time they team up, I guess.
Yeah, I get. Yeah,
and I feel like I should support the home sides, like where I'm from.
Enough. No, it doesn't.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. There must be other sports I'm probably forgetting. I've never been a big baseball person.
No, so
never been a big cricket. Cricket's like one of I thought watching cricket was boring, and then I played the cricket video game, and somehow it's worse. But I am undefeated.
I know what you mean. I enjoy. I find with baseball, I can't keep involved to keep following it. But if baseball is on, I can't not watch it. It's like a really engrossing screensaver.
Huh. Yeah,
once I start watching baseball, I can't stop.
No, I've never had that.
I can go decades between matches.
Yeah, imagine how boring it would be if that was the schedule for the teams themselves.
Sometimes
decades between matches. Yeah. It's like they're playing each other for the first time this century.
I'm
missing any sports. I feel like I'm.
I feel like non-British listeners, that is what cricket's like.
Yeah. But as I say, I am undefeated in Ashes cricket on the Xbox because I bowled for those who care. I bowled Australia out for 299 all out over both innings and didn't need my second innings because I was already on 300.
Yeah,
so I was all set.
For me, soccer ball wise, I ostensibly support Arsenal because that's where the family, like we're a mafia outfit. That's where the family is originally from, is that area. So it's a big match. Arsenal's who we cheer on.
Fair enough.
NFL, I support Patriots because they won the first American football match I ever saw, and that's a bit of reason to need to pick a team.
Sure.
Yeah, and they got Janet Jackson's boob out for me as well. So it was a good match, all in all.
I'm reliably informed.
NHL, Toronto Maple Leafs for no reason other than I think it was a team I picked in EA Hockey on the Mega Drive and have just kind of stuck with.
There's something about sometimes you just get taken in by a premise. Toronto Raptors, I was like, I like dinosaurs, they're cool.
Yeah,
I'm sure there's other teams I would have also gone. Jets. I don't know teams. Like,
I think I must have gone. Well, Canada's good at hockey. I'll go Toronto. And if you follow NHL, you'll know why that's hilarious.
Yeah, exactly. The cast is no doubt rolling right now.
ENIHL, Victor Dynamos because they're my local team.
Yep, that's fair. And I've only ever seen them play, and they won like 6-0 or something ridiculous.
They struggle this season, but generally they do very well. Yeah, but you can't win them all. You just got to kind of support your boys, haven't you?
Yeah.
I think that's it for me.
Okay.
As well, I've never got into basketball and never into baseball enough to have a team.
No, exactly.
That I followed.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot to like about baseball. My experience of it is just hearing Jen tell me when she went to America that she went to a game and it was one of the most boring experiences of her life because it's very TV obviously fills in the space.
Yeah.
It's like, why wouldn't want to go and watch Formula One live? Because it's like 3 seconds of action and then 2 minutes of nothing.
Yeah.
Whereas when you're watching it on TV, you're following them round the track and you're also jumping to and fro between camera work and stuff. Yeah,
unless you've got your radio or your TV, it's not really.
Exactly.
I've seen an NFL match live when I was over for my my wife's brother's wedding. Mm-hmm. So I guess he's my brother-in-law now.
It's the wedding-in-law.
Yeah. For his stag do was to go and see. He lived in Miami at the time, so his stag do was going to see a Dolphins match. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's
good times.
it, right? So, but that's it again. It's like the social aspect of it is more what you go in for. I've only ever been to watch one football match in my life, like a professional one, and it was watching Norwich City beat Sunderland 2-0. It was just a Premier League game. There was nothing special about it.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was cool. Fun. Yeah, it was good. It was entertaining. I got swept up in it, and I didn't really have a horse in the race either way because
boxing's a weird one to see live. I think because
I'd imagine so. Yeah.
Again, you want to talk about downtime. There's downtime between the matches.
Yep.
And certainly, like Nazim Hamed used to get criticised for taking longer to get to the ring than the match lasted.
Yeah.
And how far away are some of those seats?
Well, for sure, yeah. But like, I can imagine there's a couple of things in a similar way. I'm sure UFC is more entertaining, but at the same time, it probably suffers from the same problem, which is to say it can be over really quickly, having spent all that time waiting. Mm. The anticipation can be 20 times longer than the actual event. On the other hand, wrestling, you've got 4 hours.
Well, that's exactly why wrestling became scripted.
Yeah. It's because
predetermined, as well as white predetermined. Yeah, became a show.
Yeah, because it can go for 4 hours, and that's fine.
Yeah,
and I've been to see that once. And that was cool.
My wife's a huge wrestling fan, so we went to before we had a small person. We went to loads of wrestling shows.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Learned a little bit about it, listeners.
Yeah, there you go. So that's all the two. Do you have a favourite wrestling circuit or promotion you really like?
I'm just kind of I'm like a lapsed WWE guy. I'm just it's all I really. If I do get time to watch stuff, that's all I get time to watch. So
yeah, fair enough.
I'm kind of like I've never really been into New Japan. I like
saw New Japan live. It was a really good show.
Yeah, I went to see Ring of Honor once. That was cool.
Ring of Honor would probably be my pick for.
Yeah, I got to see a lot of the people who are on TV now back then, so that was cool.
Yeah.
And then, that's it. So like I say, I've been to see a WWE event once. I went to Ring of Honor once, and otherwise it's sort of local stuff, and that's it. Mm-hmm. Which is, it's fun, but at the same time...
Yeah, I've seen Liger live twice somehow, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Not the same Liger you shouldn't post.
Yes, you also shouldn't post him.
Don't post your Shunt under Liger, because...
he won't thank you.
He won't, and he's perfectly capable of flipping him over there on his own.
Exactly. This is
It's just condescending.
It is. It's a good advice for us all.
Yes. But anyway, that's the answer to what characters we'd like to see in episode 9.
Josh McDonald Liger.
Josh Liger as Thorn.
Yeah. How about you? Who do you think?
What characters would I like to mostly like in episode 9? I mean, apart from the obvious ones we already know. Yeah, we already know the core sequel trilogies, and we know a couple of the new guys who are going to be. Is there anyone we would like to see turn up, or just even in a minor role from a pre-existing source?
I mean,
part of me wants one of the Rebels crew in there, but I don't know a way I could make it work.
Okay. I don't know. I think you could get probably somebody like Hera would make a lot of sense.
Ben Quadneros?
I mean, that's the obvious choice. I feel like, for us, that's probably a little played out.
Okay, all right, Kipster.
It depends. Yeah, I mean, ultimately, it depends on whether there's if there's pod racing. I'd love to see Quadreneros, maybe as like a commentator or a manager or something.
Boss
Nass. I mean, that's the kind of thing. If that's
who they managed to get the signal through to at the end of episode 8, they got it through to Naboo, and Boss Nass is answering the call.
Oh, I'd love that.
Yeah.
I actually genuinely would.
Yeah.
That's a bit morbid of me, but...
Yeah, okay, cool. Why is it morbid?
Because it kind of sucks.
Yeah.
It's not so much like morbid in the sense of, nobody's passed away that I'm aware of from the thing. It's just a pretty terrible idea.
It's pretty crap, yeah.
But then, I say, there is nothing to say that they can't end up with some Nubians involved in the mix in the last battles.
Wouldn't be surprised if we saw Han in some capacity, most likely as a flashback if not a flashback, a earlier sequence.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to go down the route of Force Ghosts because that's one of those ones that people are like, yeah, I'd love to see that. I'm like, would you?
Yeah, do you?
Yeah.
Do you know what you mean when you say words?
Is it I think it's fair to say sometimes that if you feel that you didn't get enough Han Solo, that's fine, right?
Yeah.
but there are ways to get it. Sometimes what you want isn't what you want. Like you do want something,
it's
but
my
that's not
favourite
the way.
Rolling Stones song.
Yeah. Sometimes what you want isn't always what you want. Mick Jagger and his half-form sentences. Sometimes, like I say, sometimes you might want something, but in order to get it the way, like you don't want it the way you're going to have to get it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so you might want more Han Solo, but the way you'd have to get it is a flashback or a Force Ghost. And of the two, I feel like there's a clear choice in terms of what makes sense.
Absolutely. If Han Solo had ended up being a Jedi in the old EU, people would have hated it. And there's no reason to. Han doesn't need to have Force powers.
No.
It doesn't, and I don't want to go down the road of, well, anyone can come back as a Force Ghost if they want it enough, because that just raises more questions.
Yeah, but also it's like, so Qui-Gon was the first person who wanted it enough.
Yeah.
I find this hard to believe.
Yeah. Oh, look, Jabba's come back as a ghost. It's just going to complicate.
If at the end of the film they're all standing there celebrating, and Jabba just appears as a Force Ghost and just stares daggers at Leia while they're all trying to celebrate this great victory. Do you know what? I would take everything, every constructive criticism I have about the sequel trilogy would be undone if they did something that thoroughly ludicrous.
Or if they just go, my Uncle Jabba's come back from the dead. Why would he do that?
I want to see I think you have probably seen a Hutt-sized Narrow. But I want to suspicious I want the Suspicious the Hutt to be a thing, partly because you may have seen a Hutt-sized Narrow, but you haven't seen a Hutt-sized Narrow.
Yeah.
Just slits like the eyes of a needle, that thin. Suspicious the Hutt is the only person who can pull it off.
Yeah,
he's not even. And the fact that the more he thinks about why that is, the worse it is for everyone.
I feel like we've been led down the garden path, and everyone's kind of expecting us to say Boba Fett or something like that, but. I don't need Boba Fett back.
No, that's fair. Do you know
if any character deserves a last-minute reprieve, it's Phasma.
Akbar.
Yeah, all right, yeah, bring Akbar. If Akbar can come back as a Force Ghost just through the sheer power of fans wishing it, I'm happy to bang the cannon hammer on that.
Amazing if it was just the power of fan service brings them back. Yeah, that would be enough to bring Han Solo back, I think. Just the sheer volume of fan service. What would be amazing is if every character had to face some glaring person they'd killed.
Yeah.
So for like Leia, it's Jabba the Hutt, just staring daggers at her. Chewbacca has to look at a cooked porg, just staring at it. Yeah. And like the Sledgehammer video by Peter Gabriel, just that, doing little dance, just really sinister stop motion stuff. Just towards him.
If a porg is just kind of staring at him like the flaming dude from Event Horizon.
Oh, man. There you go. See? Just...
You ever cooked a porg in zero gravity?
It's delicious. What other ones are there? I'm trying to think of, Rey. Who would she have? Because she's, just one of the random Praetorians, but she has no idea who it is because they all wear costumes.
Yeah.
Just somebody, just some dude just staring around. She's like, who? Oh, I'm one of the Praetorians. Oh, okay, that makes sense. Yeah, I wear a mask, so that's fair.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of a serious one, because I feel like we should try and be serious a bit as well.
Yeah, it's kind of our thing.
Yeah.
I think either Phasma or Akbar making... Akbar, did we actually see him get killed on screen, or was it just kind of established he did?
I think they do acknowledge it in dialogue that he's one of the people who's killed, because obviously that's why Vice Admiral Holdo becomes the acting senior officer.
Phasma can come back in some capacity because they can just kind of flash Gordon it.
We've seen her, I think, pretty definitively die. But at the same time, like you say...
If they bring her back, it will be a bit like Kenny, to be honest. So
yeah.
And I think it's fairly established she's not.
I think that's fair. Yeah, I think that's fair to say.
DJ, do we want him back?
I would... Do you know, I would say yes, and the reason I would say yes is because I always felt like they didn't... They should have done more with DJ.
Yes.
And, I've touched on it before, but I think the biggest mistake they made was making BB-8 the pilot of the AT-ST and not having it turn out to be that DJ was doing it using some sort of hackery to give them a fighting chance just because he liked playing both sides.
Yeah, that would have worked better.
I think it would have. I think, the BB-8 thing...
Even if it's not that he was trying to help them so much as he just wants to watch the world burn.
Yeah, that would be fine. I'd be all right with that.
Yeah.
They did I thought they were doing a really good job, especially with the Canto Bight stuff, of pointing out that...
The hypocrisy of a war machine.
Yeah, it was the war machine was suiting both sides just fine. It wasn't just as clear cut as, First Order bad, Resistance good. It was like, no, they're both doing things that are messed up.
Yeah.
And they're both going to be guilty of that to some degree. It's just a question of which side you pick. And I feel like there were some really missed opportunities there in terms of how how they could have explored that grey. They were always talking about the grey area in the build up to The Last Jedi, and what we ended up with was a binary good versus evil story by the end. And it feels like there were opportunities that weren't explored and threads that weren't developed, and there's lots of dangling threads they could pick up, but I don't think they will.
I'm wary of going down The Last Jedi hole again.
That's fine. We did that pretty extensively last week, so let's try and avoid it if we can.
It's more, without going into too much depth, I think there was kind of a disagreement. It always felt to me like the shades of grey stuff worked better in the old expanded universe because that was more of an adult-oriented market. And the saga movies were Buck Rogers, Flash Gordon, good guys versus bad guys.
Yeah.
And as people got older and wanted a little more shades of grey, the EU was there. And I think with Last Jedi, there was a bit of a struggle between the creative team who wanted to do the shades of grey and those who wanted it to be more of a kid's action movie. And I'm not sure there is a right way or a wrong way necessarily to
possibly
to do that. But that's why The Last Jedi feels like it goes shades of grey, but it kind of feels like it's got to handbrake turn back into a saga movie at the end.
Yeah, that's kind of, I think you're right. I think that's entirely possible that that's kind of the underlying theme throughout. I certainly think that I do think the pacing of the film kind of suffers a bit for that, for the hard kind of the hard about turn it's got to do in terms of steering away from that nuance, and again, sort of dipping away from that subtlety. So actually, do you know what? Now you've said that, DJ is the one I keep coming back to. So I'm going to say DJ.
Okay.
I'm actually not that enthused about. It's not that I'm not enthused about it. I will be fine with it if it happens, and I think it probably will. Maz Kanata. I think she'll turn up again, and I'm fine with that.
I think she's fine. Yeah.
I mean, I'm a fan of Lupita Nyong'o, and she does a good job with that. So that's all good. I'm good with this as a premise. So,
I don't know.
But I still think DJ would be the one who would interest me personally.
Yeah, I don't know if there's... Bear in mind what I said earlier about I'd rather it was kind of tied thematically to the earlier films. I don't necessarily know if there's any pre-existing characters I want to shoehorn in. DJ's probably who I'd pick, actually.
Yeah.
Knowing that we've got Lando,
yes,
I would go DJ. Yeah.
That would be kind of cool, actually, to see them into play.
Yeah, I didn't even think of that. Yeah, that would be great.
I mean, also because Benicio del Toro is a tremendously talented actor.
Yeah, but obviously
get more.
Wolfie Laren.
I mean, I would settle for no additional character cameos in that vein if they meant that they did a bit better by Hux.
Yeah,
I would trade that all away for Hux to get some more love in this film because I really feel like he's one of the most underserved characters in Last Jedi.
I've just remembered how much of last night's game I spent screaming at General Tag.
He was useless. You can't help.
It was. Yeah, I shouldn't have to have a disciplinary meeting with a board game pawn.
Yeah,
but I found it necessary with General Tag.
I think it's because Blake wasn't there.
Yeah, it's
usually the object of your ire.
Well, I've had to put up with more than most people have.
That's fair. I think what was happening in that game was that General Tag was bringing you problems, Emperor Palpatine was bringing you solutions.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Vader, to a degree, well, he's pretty good, as I recall.
He was perfectly fine. Yeah.
DJ. I'm going to stick with DJ.
Yeah, DJ and Krennic.
Yeah. Krennic, yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, we take that as a given, right? It's not. I don't think
even if just the last shot of episode 9 is Krennic stretching in bed going, I have the strangest dream.
Anyway, off to work.
Yeah.
I think we're going to Scarif today. So, Matt, hopefully you like the answer DJ, because that's what we got.
Yep.
So, our last email for this evening comes from...
Was it the last one already?
Yeah.
Shot by.
Yeah. So, we've got one from Andy.
Okay, hello, Andy.
Hello, Andy. So, Andy C., who writes, Hi, chaps.
Hi, Andy.
Long time no email, but still listening and enjoying the show every week. Proudly patronising you, so I get the pod on Saturdays now. I'm still weird about that as a verb. Because
I do know what you mean.
Did you record it all by yourself? Oh.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean, but thank you for chipping in. It does help us keep the lights on.
It does, yeah. It goes towards all our running costs, and ultimately they are not nothing.
Yeah.
So
I just punched my microphone, so you might have a spike there.
No, I just had a little gentle tickle.
Okay, fine.
I'm
glad I lampshaded it.
Andy writes, a couple of things compelled me to get back in touch.
Ooh, good.
Firstly, I was delighted to hear about Brad's fear of slugs.
Stop posting them to me.
In an understanding and empathetic way, sharing the same phobia myself.
Okay, well, I'll forward a post onto you.
Great to know I'm not alone, and hope Brad can share a similar sense of reassurance.
Okay, yeah, great. I'm glad I'm not the only person who gets genuinely paralysed by them.
Frogs are my thing. You know this.
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
I know Yes, it wasn't your cat brought one in that was not quite dead.
When I was a kid, yeah. Not like last summer.
No.
Yeah,
it was a cat.
No, exactly. Yeah, that would be...
Yeah, unless it would be Cat from E14 who brought in a half-dead frog. But to be honest, that raises more questions.
There are so many questions.
Yeah.
But yeah, frogs are my thing. Just in the spirit of sharing, you know. I don't
cool.
want you to... I don't want you to feel dumped.
I'm glad we're all terrified of things you get in the garden.
Yeah. I'm glad we're all terrified of naturally occurring things that occur on this planet.
In a British garden.
Absolutely, yeah. So, Andy continues, secondly, your discussion about the naming convention for droids got me thinking, what if they just had normal names more often? What would they be called? I'd love to hear your thoughts on this for some of the more prominent droid characters, but here are mine. Full disclosure, I've got no idea where I got these from, but it kept me entertained on a short commute.
Shoot.
R2-D2. Edgy Eddie.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, why not?
It sounds like a kitchen device, but all right.
It's new from JML.
Yeah.
Are you tired of the edges of your kitchen not getting any love? I don't know. What do they do?
It slices, it dices, it frices.
It's not content to do it twice.
Yeah.
R2-D2. I'll tell you what, let's... Have we got any other thoughts on what... If you wanted to give it not a droid designation, but just a name.
Kenny Baker.
Kenny Baker. I like Kenny as a... You know... As a general droid name for, like... It would work,
to keep in the kitchen, it's short for Kenwood.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, it's a Kenwood Baker. I don't know where this is going.
No, indeed. So for C-3PO, Andy's got Farnsworth Shuttlebotham.
I get it.
Yeah. I think it's the prissiness, isn't it?
Yeah. It's a very combat butler type name.
Yes, indeed. Have you seen, incidentally, speaking of C-3PO, that Anthony Daniels' autobiography is not long from being released?
Oh, I wonder where that sentence was going for a minute.
No.
You see, Anthony Daniels' autobiography is not long.
Slammed you.
That sounds like
personally.
To say I hear his autobiography is not long. It sounds like a really obtuse threat.
It does, yeah. If you're not careful, if you get on the wrong side of me, your autobiography will be brief.
Yes.
It's actually It's actually quite sinister when you put it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah. I see what you mean. Well played.
Yeah. Do you mean have him killed?
He has become a nuisance. So now you're doing it again. We waited around for 3 months waiting for him to have an accident, and then only to learn it was one we were supposed to cause. C-3PO. Yeah, Farnsworth is I think Farnsworth's a really good choice. actually.
Yeah,
I don't think I
definitely.
can top that.
I like it.
K2SO, Turncoat Lurch. I get that one.
Kind of,
Because he's a treacherous droid in so much as he's been reprogrammed, and he's tall and kind of looming.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Yeah. What are the chances that I don't have anything better than this? It's high.
Yeah.
It's very high.
Yeah, I think Turncoat Lurch works.
Yeah. BB-8, Roland Ball.
Sounds like a holiday camp comedian.
Yeah, I was going to say, it also sounds like somebody who, because of their prominent TV role in the 80s, was probably just, maybe made to answer some basic questions by the police.
Yes.
If the UK's history is anything to go by.
Yeah.
L337, Deadpan Diane.
That's my favourite Michael Jackson song.
You say the things on your mind, it's just a matter of fact. I actually quite like that for two reasons. First of all, it gets the character across really well.
Yeah.
But also, it's got almost like a Western sound to it, and Solo is probably the closest to a Western that we have in Star Wars.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah. I actually kind of like that as like a, one-eyed people.
Yeah. Deadpan Diane, yeah.
Yeah, Deadpan Diane. I also think it could be the kind of thing you could say to somebody. You could call somebody, he's a bit of a Deadpan Diane, if you catch my drift.
If you know what I mean, yeah.
Yeah, if you know what I mean. I mean, literally. So next is R5D4, Croque Monsieur.
Fun fact, that's actually French for croque mister.
I mean, you're not far off.
No, I'm not.
What's really entertaining is it's French for cheese and bacon sandwich. Cheese and ham sandwich. Cheese and ham toasty, I think.
I've had one in Switzerland, yes.
Yeah, I was rather a fan.
Yeah, it is essentially rabbit or cheese on toast or pizza or calzone or
cheese on toast
any kind of folded carbon cheese meal which can be found the world over, but French have got to French it up a bit.
That is the thing. As much as I find myself, when I hear, like, obviously, somebody like yourself who doesn't eat meat, I sit there and I think, could I do that? And I think, certainly I could cut down on certain types of meat. Like I could drop a beef meal a week. That sort of thing is easy enough to do. I can do that.
Yeah.
Cheese. Cheese is the one that I know would be hard for me to abandon, because cheese is so much. I love cheese so much. Yeah. Halloumi, cheddar.
I do find people always kind of expect they've got when people find out I'm a vegetarian, there's almost like this. They feel a need to justify the fact that he eat meat, and it's weird that people do that because I honestly don't care.
No,
just please do your thing. It's fine.
It's not like when
it's not my job
when you did
to tell you what to do.
Yeah, it's not like when you did eat meat. You're big on like exposition about that.
No,
it's just a choice that made sense.
Yeah.
No, that's fair enough. I totally get it.
I'm not one of those. I think very few vegetarians and vegans are actually that pushy. There's a
few.
There's a vocal minority.
Yeah, this is the thing. They're vocal for sure.
Yeah, but most people don't care. Imagine being that bothered about what a stranger is having for lunch.
Yeah, I understand. I'm not. In the same way, I'm not one of those people who, like, if I find out somebody's a vegetarian, I'm not going to be rubbing it in that I'm eating meat.
No, there was a guy a little while ago who was. He went to a vegan food festival and just stood at the entrance eating raw beef.
That's a weird thing to do anyway, isn't it?
Well, no, it's like, I was like, well, firstly, imagine getting that angry about what people you don't know are having for dinner.
Yeah.
But then I'll take that further. Imagine being him. Imagine going back to work on Monday and thinking, that was a good use of my weekend. I'm glad I did that. Also, I think I've taken them.
Yeah. I mean, I like raw beef in so much as I can eat tartare and and I'm very fond of it.
Yes.
But at the same time, not so fond of it that I'm like, how can I use this to make somebody's day worse? It's like, no, it's just not something I really think about.
Yes, but to reassure us, I'm not especially politically motivated with my diet. No. Please feel you can all make your own minds up on what you're allowed to eat or feel you should eat. If you want advice, then you know where to find me, but I'm not going to start throwing things at you.
That is fair. I mean, also that's just nice. That's nice of you, I think, generally. That's a good rule of thumb. Don't throw things at people. You want to write some rules for life down.
And don't post mollusks.
Yeah, that's it's weird stuff.
It's weird.
You know who you are.
Yeah.
Give it a rest.
Yeah, croque monsieur.
Wind it in.
Yeah, anyway, it's French for croque massagist.
Yeah, so croque mister is...
So,
so croque is spelled like crock pot, or, obviously croc as in broken.
Yes.
So, nicely
done.
It.
Yeah.
IG88, Fetty Cool J.
Firstly, how dare you slander the greatest bounty hunter of all time with that Mandalorian name? When actually we know that IG88's real name is actually
Yeah, as we established in Talk Star Wars canon.
Yeah.
That's how it's pronounced. It's pronounced the same way as a variety show review would announce hello there.
Yeah.
Cha-cha-cha-cha.
Yeah.
What
I
else
can
we
refine the video sample if you want to edit that in.
No, that's fine.
It's adorable.
21B is Dr. Phil.
I got nothing.
No, that's odd choice.
I'm aware Dr. Phil is a television personality in America, but I have no context for what he actually is or does because I've never seen him over here. So
you know Maury Povich?
No.
Okay, that doesn't help much.
No.
What about
Mandalorian?
No. What about Sally Jesse Raphael?
I'm aware of Sarah Jessica Parker and the Ninja Turtle Raphael.
No, that's not. No.
Okay.
Ricky Lake?
I'm aware of Ricky Lake, yes.
I don't know why I didn't start with this. Jerry Springer.
I'm very much aware of Jerry Springer.
Yeah, like a less dramatic, kind of less played for TV version of, basically Dr. Phil's like a more kind of a gentler Jerry Springer. It's that kind of level of... It's a similar sort of theme. It's like bringing people on, to talk about stuff and kids who've gone unruly and all that jazz. The kind of stuff that Jerry Springer touches on, but they don't get sent to boot camp at the end and get screamed at by people they've never met.
Yeah.
It's just about talking to them.
So like Jeremy Carr, but without the conspiracy to murder.
Sure. I don't know. I don't know what you're referring to.
Maybe time code that.
I don't know what you're referring to.
Okay, cool.
So, yeah.
Nor do I, if anyone from Legal Team is listening.
No, I say, I literally have no idea what you mean.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
No, nor do I, if any of the Legal Team asks.
Okay, fine. So, moving on, R4, P17. Pen pusher Brian?
All right.
Who's R4, P17?
Andy,
Let me just remind myself.
Were you tired when you got to this point?
A commute sounds like it could be.
Yeah.
R4, P17, here we go. Okay. It's Obi-Wan Kenobi's droid in episode 2. Pen pusher. Is he a bit of a bureaucrat?
Pen pusher Brian's a weird one. It's R4. Okay, yeah.
I'm trying to work out what it is about his demeanour that says excessive bureaucracy. He's a droid. He's basically... What he is basically a glorified Skype connection. Because all he does is basically just capture...
R4 boost for signals, pretty much the only reference you get to it, isn't it?
Yeah, R4 turn it off and on again.
I can't help but notice what he delivers is a very unboosted signal.
Very much so, yeah. It's almost like, it's like he's handed his notice in and he's just working through the motions. It's like 2 weeks, no, it's 3 days, it's not my problem, mate. I'll just go through and now I know why we didn't try harder to keep you, R4.
Yeah.
We didn't match the salary the other place was offering.
Yeah.
Anyway, best of luck on Gino. Oh, okay. Well, this is awkward. I mean, Andy, these are some interesting names. He closes by saying, "I do wonder, however, how these names would fit into the existing scripts." I concur. I can only concur, particularly in the case of Pen Pusher Brian and Dr. Phil, who I would imagine probably has copyright on that name.
I mean,
he's been around a while. I think he's probably...
So. I presume there's an American version of Equity that will probably trademark it.
Yeah, I would have thought so, yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. It's probably a performance name.
Yeah, or at least the name of his TV show will be.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I think it would be. I'd be very surprised if it wasn't the case, because, like I say, he's a bit of a household name in America.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's peculiar. So, but I mean, I love them because, like I say, they're very clever.
Yeah.
However, so here's some. So he's actually got some more. I've just realised I scrolled down. I forgot there was more.
Okay. Cool.
In other news,
Okay.
I've added to my Legion core set,
Hey.
fully painted,
Nice.
with some expansions.
Easy once you get started, isn't it?
With some expansions,
Okay.
and had my first couple of casual games with a mate the other week.
Awesome.
What a great, fun, and thematic game.
Isn't it just?
Is Brad going to buy into Clone Wars, and what's on his wish list generally? I want an old man Obi-Wan operative for the Rebels.
Okay.
Anyway, keep producing the great content, chaps. Despite emails like this, all the best. That's the spirit, Andy.
It's one of the most sensible emails we've had for months.
We've had a good laugh out of that, so
Yeah.
I think it's all worth it in the end. So I wouldn't sweat it at all. So yeah. Anyway, so what was I saying? Yeah, Legion.
No idea.
Clone
Legion.
Wars. You in for Clone Wars?
Yes, I'm absolutely buying into Clone Wars,
Good
and
times.
the Clone Wars line will be fully supported on both Fire and Ready, and hopefully it's our live shows in the future as well.
Cool.
Yeah,
There you go.
we are fully both me personally as a player and the show professionally are fully behind the Clone Wars line for Legion. It's going to be awesome.
Nice.
Yeah, from what I've seen of the models, they look great. We're going to get some big vehicles for it, hopefully, as well. I was surprised we got Rex announced
Okay.
so soon.
Oh, okay.
No, I thought we were going to get him, but I thought we'd get Anakin. I thought we'd get Mace Windu, maybe Yoda first. But
yeah.
I kind of get it because they don't want to just have a glut of Jedi as well, which is a risk that Clone Wars runs. Old man Obi-Wan. I've heard a few people say they'd like an old man Obi-Wan for Legion, and there was an old man Obi-Wan for Imperial Assault.
This is true.
Although that was more of like an RPG light skirmish game.
Yeah.
I don't know how Obi-Wan would fit into the kind of scale conflicts you get with Legion, but if enough people want it, they'll do it. And
Totally.
I wouldn't want to say they're definitely not going to. Because, it's totally possible.
Yeah. What's on your wish list generally?
Generally, in terms of stuff I'd like them to announce, you mean?
Yeah.
IG-88, because, Fetty Cool J is easily my favourite bounty hunter. Just more of a bounty hunters, because Bosk's great, Boba Fett's great. If we could start fleshing them out, that would be fantastic. More scenario pieces. What I'd really love is Armada actually had boxed campaigns, which almost had like an Empire at War type mechanic. You look at logistics and moving your bigger armies around. You'd have like really small skirmishes and massive battles. The box set came with like a wall chart. You'd plan out the logistics side of it. So a box campaign for Legion, I think, would be fantastic.
I could see that working really well.
Yeah, I'd be so on board for that.
Yeah.
What I'd actually like on the Clone Wars front is I'd like a Spec Forces team of just generic Jedi. Don't make all the Jedi the big named characters, because there were a lot of Jedi just fighting in the Clone Wars. So give me like a Jedi strike team or something.
Oh, okay, yeah, that works. Maybe slightly. Obviously, they'd have to be slightly muted in terms of powers versus somebody like an Obi-Wan. They wouldn't be able to take on, a large volume by themselves.
Rapidly or perhaps prematurely promoted Padawans, maybe.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
On the Galactic Civil War front, I really want Inferno Squad, and they've been tempted to just repaint up some Death Troopers as Inferno Squad.
It'll probably work.
Yeah.
I mean, they put Iden Versio in X-Wing. She's in the second edition core. So,
oh, really? There's priors then.
Yeah, she replaced one of the named characters who was kind of not really well known outside of Legends. She's one of the named TIE pilots in the second edition core set now. So they've put her in tabletop Star Wars. So there's no reason why she couldn't turn up.
It'll happen at some point then. Yeah.
What about Afro?
How about Africa work as an operative? Actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they've got Boba Fett, and Boba Fett's kind of similarly not really a Empire, but kind of.
Yeah.
As much, I think.
Yeah. Yourself, anyone you'd like to see? A lot of people say Thrawn. I'm like, it's a ground combat game. People are saying Thrawn and Tarkin, and I'm like, well, no, Veers made sense. Veers was a ground commander.
And Krennic made some sense because he was at least pictured on the ground in Rogue One deleted scenes.
Yeah, but you'd also have to kind of bear in mind the scale of Armada. Even when we've done Grand Army games, there's a big of a tabletop, but they're nothing compared to the Battle of Scarif or the Battle of Endor. They are actually still very small engagements.
Yeah.
And so Krennic is the kind of, or Jyn Erso even, are the kind of commanders who are realistically shouting orders to like 30-odd people. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, Krennic made perfect sense to me. He would have had those kind of military engagements.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think I've never been a big... I like Thrawn's addition in Rebels because I think they did a good job with him. But at the same time, should have never been a point where people should have been excited about... Well, I mean, that's a bit... I guess it's a bit unfair, a bit dismissive, but I never felt like there should have been that much excitement about Thrawn doing hand-to-hand combat because that's never been his thing. You know, he's always been a strategic, doesn't have to get his hands dirty because he's so smart and thinks ahead so thoroughly. You know, he doesn't have to go down the route of getting his hands dirty because he's figured it out without the need for that.
He absolutely could hold his own because he's had military training. You don't get to be Grand Admiral without having gone to boot camp for close quarters training at some point in your career. Yeah, but the fact that would be a pivotal moment seems strange to me.
Yeah, it does seem like an odd choice, I think. Mm-hmm. You know,
I'm looking forward to Tyrannus. I think he's going to be fun.
That will be cool. Yeah, I agree. I'm beyond that, I don't know that there's any people I'm that... But I like the idea that you mentioned about the Jedi team, you know, the non-specific Jedi. That makes a lot of sense to me. And in a similar way, you could have the 501st, but you could also have just a bunch of troopers. Yeah. Generic troopers. That makes perfect sense, you know.
I think I said to you last night, a game I'd like to see is maybe 2 years down the line, we'll get like an epic scale version, something more like Warhammer Epic or Flames of War, so like 6 to 15 mil Star Wars, and then we can start seeing some really big battles that way.
With like those big War of the World style ships.
Yeah,
they don't work in Legion.
I don't want Legion to get bigger and start doing bigger battles because the game system won't support it, or you'll end up with 3-hour turns. And it's a 6-turn game. So, keep Legion as a skirmish game, but maybe an eye towards like the leap from X-Wing to Armada.
Excuse me. Yeah, I think, you know, they've done a really good job, I think, in terms of representing all the different levels of combat. So if you want to go down to the macro level, to the character, you've got the Star Wars RPG, and you can curate one character all the way through the campaign and build them up to your heart's content. If you want to go one further than that, then you've got Legion. Maybe Imperial Assault kind of... It seems like Imperial Assault's kind of being put to the wayside a bit. Certainly in comparison to Legion. Clearly, Legion is where the interest is most of the time right now. But then you can scale it back further, and you've got X-Wing. You scale it back further, you've got Armada. Scale it back further, you've got Rebellion. And I feel like I've missed one. Destiny doesn't really count, but you know, Cards and Dice, not so much. I mean, you deal with individual characters in that, but it's not the same. But
we will continue producing great content.
Of course, you don't have to worry about that. I mean, I don't know why they even would. Why even cross their minds to worry about it?
No. Anyway, that's how clones work.
Yeah, exactly. I'm trying to think, are there any other characters? What about if they went First Order versus Resistance?
I think that will happen, but not for like a couple of years after Episode 9. I don't think so. I think they got their fingers burnt with the Force Awakens X-Wing set. Maybe. When they were kind of hamstrung by how much they could actually do.
I think that might be the same problem they might run into for something like Legion, though. I actually think you might be better, like it might be served better thematically if you were going to go down the post New Hope route, post Return of the Jedi route, having an Imperial Assault style game instead and center it around the characters and make it, you know, they're overwhelmed, like a Horde mode almost.
That could be fun, yeah.
You know, having a sort of, you know, a skirmish game where it's more about players versus environment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that could be fun.
I don't know. That's kind of instinctively in the moment, as I'm describing it now, that's kind of how it feels like it would be served better. Something like Legion, you'd run into the same problem really quickly because you're going to end up with no troops because there aren't any.
Yep.
They could all fit on the Falcon. A couple of Crystal Foxes. Yeah.
Yep.
Otherwise, I don't think there's any. There's certainly no sequel characters. I don't see any, unless you could get Phasma in, I guess, but that would be tenuous. Incredibly so.
Maz Kanata.
Very tenuous.
Around.
Yeah.
Or she's around. She's in Force of Destiny between Empire and Jedi.
Yeah. I don't know about like Battlefield stuff though. It seems a bit.
No.
What about Chirrut and Baze? Some Rogue One characters maybe.
No, we've had Janus and Krennic, so there's nothing stopped doing. Yeah. I could see Cassian maybe K2 as a double pack.
Yeah, that'd be a good one. Never did Rogue One stuff for Imperial Assault, did they?
No, they did Rebels. I don't think they did anything Rogue One.
Yeah, they did the Rebels. They had the Thrawn. They had the whole campaign around Thrawn, didn't they? The expansion.
They did. Yes, with the Thal expansion.
Yeah. Maybe some Rogue One stuff. The Cassian and K2 is a good pick, I think.
Yeah.
Anything other than that, I mean, you could probably. I mean, you've got the possibility for something like Bistan. Saw Gerrera would be a really good show.
As a separate faction, maybe.
Yeah. You could have, or you could just have maybe there's a mechanic that makes them more erratic.
Yeah.
So you could have them as part of your rebel army, but there's a risk they might be, maybe they've got really low, what's the thing called where they might flee?
I think it's either morale or courage, I can't remember.
Yeah, so they might have really low morale in the stat sense, which means thematically they're more likely to just go, I've got this.
Yeah, I'm out here.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And on the way out, maybe they perform an atrocity.
Yeah, I mean, that's their style.
Yeah, indeed.
Basically that's why we can't have nice things.
Yeah, indeed. There you go. So, Andy, there's your answer. So hopefully that meets with your approval. And thank you for listening and thank you for patronising us all by yourself. I kid, there's a few. And if it sounds like the kind of thing you want to get involved with, listener out there who's not part of the patron, you can go to patreon.com/talkstarwars and find out more about that. And
many ways you should.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's certainly worth, what else are you going to do with your day, honestly?
Yeah, it's absolutely.
I mean, I'm sure it's going to be great and all, but you can spare a couple of minutes, can't you? Go and have a look at least.
Yeah.
Do us that much. Anything else for this week? There's some stuff about comics, right?
Yeah. I mean, we just got the news today that the Marvel Star Wars core series is wrapping up at issue 75 in November.
That's the mainline one, right?
Yeah. I'm kind of bummed because Greg Pak's just come on it, and I'm a big fan of Pak, but hopefully we'll find something else to do.
I'm sure they will.
Yeah, and it's not like it's going to be the last Star Wars comic ever. So
no, exactly.
Yeah, it's been a fun ride. 75 issues ain't bad going.
No, it's pretty good. I mean, it's led to some good stories, right? Because
absolutely,
didn't Vader Down come out of that?
Yes.
Yeah. So they've done well. They've got some. They've spun some good yarns, and they've created some new characters out of it, and
totally
everybody's happy.
Everybody's richer for it.
Yeah, exactly. So what, in terms of like Star Wars comics, is there anything you'd like to see them do that they're not currently doing? Maybe let's say you were given the green light to say name the replacement, name what replaces it.
Well, with the caveat that there are legal systems in place to prevent that from happening.
Sure.
I think they're going down the right direction by finally going post-Empire.
Mm-hmm.
I think Dr. Aphra's still kicking pretty strong.
Okay.
Maybe fill out some more Clone Wars stuff would be good. Maybe fill out some more prequel era stuff would be nice, because I feel like that's flagging a little at the moment. I understand they can't do too much in the sequel era really until Rise of Skywalker's been and gone.
Yes.
But just fill out the gaps at the moment.
Yeah. Fair enough. I'd like to see them do more Cassian and K2 stuff.
That'd be good.
Because I know they did a short run.
It did.
And I feel like there's more to say there. But then at the same time, we're getting a TV show, so I can't be too greedy.
Yeah.
It's always been a problem of mine. I say Cassian and K2 would be my immediate pick. I read the Cassian and K2 bit they did do. I thought it was good. I would like to see more of it.
Cool. That's as glowing review as anyone's ever got from you.
Indeed, yeah. Beyond that, once again, it's been a bit of a slow news week. D23 is right around the corner. At the time of recording, it's imminent.
Yeah, it is.
With the Star Wars bit, we've got a Mandalorian trailer tomorrow.
We're told.
Yeah, unfortunately, my weekend is such that we wouldn't be able to get together and do some sort of ad hoc breakdown, which is a bit of a shame. But,
Not with that attitude.
No, indeed. But unfortunately,
It's the only attitude we got.
It's. I have a lot to do.
Yeah, all right. You're a busy man.
Yeah, this is it. And
you're a very busy man, and we can't convince you otherwise.
But by the sounds of it, next week we'll have some stuff to pour over.
Certainly sounds like it. Exciting times to be a Star Wars fan. It's always a fun time to be a Star Wars fan, but sometimes they're more exciting than others.
Exactly. So next week is promising so far to be one of those times, and we look forward to seeing how far of the mark we are on that one.
I'm excited.
Yeah, I think it would be fine. I think it's going to turn out well.
I am an idiot. So read into that what you will.
There's no convincing you otherwise on that one, I feel.
Absolutely.
So thank you very much for listening this week to Talk Star Wars, episode 181, part of emotionally14.com, which you can find on the web at the website I literally just named. It was that one. I try and make it as simple as possible.
Done.
Yeah, try and make it as simple as possible, just to save you time. Don't have to, exert too much mental energy in order to go and visit. Go and visit.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, we're on there every Monday morning. Drops Talk Star Wars, and you can go and find it on emotionally14.com and loads of other cool stuff as well. We've got 3 different podcast series, some of which are kind of more active than others, certainly currently. But there's 3 podcast series, 2 video series, a bunch of endorsed shows that are like syndicated things that we just share from places we love. There's also written stuff goes up occasionally. We do a lot of. We talk a lot about we talk a lot about films, talk a lot about Star Wars, talk about video games, tabletop games, all sorts of fun stuff.
Yeah, awaits you. Is the trick.
Yeah, exactly. All sort of fun stuff awaits you on emotionally14.com, including this show. So and as I mentioned, if you want to support this show and in return for your patronage, be treated to an ad-free version, which drops a couple of days earlier as well. So it drops on the Saturday instead of the Monday. Then you can do so at Talk Star Wars on Patreon. So patreon.com/Talk Star Wars is the actual URL, because I got that the wrong way around, because it's late and I am tired.
It's fine.
Yeah, it's fine. It will be fine. Patreon.com/Talk Star Wars. It costs as little as $1 a month, whatever you care to donate, and it's an ad-free feed that drops a couple of days earlier in return for your donation, which is kindly received. And it, like I say, it helps us to meet our running costs, and that's always nice. Brad, if people want to follow you on social media, where might they do that?
The easiest place to do that is on Facebook, where you can find me at facebook.com/BradHarmerBarnes. If you want more sporadic wittering, then you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at RealBradHB. You can also check out Fire When Ready on Emotionally14 if you want to see me talking about Legion, Armada, and various other Star Wars games as and when they turn up. You can follow the show on Instagram at Fire When Ready UK. If you're feeling especially intrigued, then you can, of course, check out all of my books, which are available on Audible and Amazon.
Yes, you can. You can do so by visiting Emotionally14, Team Me14, and after every Talk Star Wars post, there is a little link where you can go and buy Brad's books through the Amazon affiliate store. Doesn't cost you any extra, and everybody gets a little something out of it. You get a lovely book. We get a couple of pennies. Brad gets a couple of pennies. Everybody wins.
Everybody's happy.
Literally everybody. I don't think there's anybody. Yeah, I don't think there's anybody who's not. I don't think there is. I can't think of anybody.
No, I can't think anyone would be annoyed by that particular arrangement. Maybe. If
you're talking about social media, you can find Emotionally14 and Talk Star Wars on Twitter and Instagram at Emotionally14 and at Talk Star Wars, respectively. There's also Facebook pages and Facebook groups for the various different E14 properties. And you can find all of those on Facebook, which is why they're Facebook groups. I can be found on Twitter and Instagram at RobWadeVision. If you feel so inclined, then you can follow me there and interact with me. And also, you can interact with me by tweeting at Emotionally14 or at Talk Star Wars as well, because I tend to be there. Mm-hmm. And I would be remiss Yeah, I would be remiss as always if I didn't acknowledge the tremendous contributions and the wonderful community of the Star Wars Commonwealth Podcast Network. So, in addition to Talk Star Wars, we are joined by Tumbling Saber, Generation X-Wing, The Nerd Room, Rogue Squadron Podcast, the San Diego Sabres, the Sandcrawler Podcast with Dan and Mike, and Retro Inc., whose dulcet tones of one Adam Sheldon we're going to leave you with this week in tribute to our good friend Steve Kirk, who, we all miss very much. Thank you very much for listening to Talk Star Wars this week. We will see you again next week for episode 182.
Yeah, we will.
Thank you very much for listening. Until next time, be good to yourselves, be good to each other, and as always, may the Force be with you.
Hi, this is Adam from the Retro Inc. podcast and member of the Talk Star Wars group. The world has become a smaller place via social media, and it's made communication between people a lot closer. A fellow podcaster in the podcast network and member of our Facebook group and the community of the Star Wars podcast network, we had a wonderful connection with a man called Steve Kirk from the San Diego Sabres radio podcast. Last week, news broke that he had very sadly passed away. Steve was always a very kind, always a very positive man. He was a true Star Wars fan and a really lovely guy. Steve, obviously based in San Diego, regularly chatted and texted and talked on the phone. His communication was always really great, and sometimes daily we chatted about saber dueling and Star Wars and the podcast network. It was a really great experience, and I really got to know him, albeit, he was so far away. This deep, sad news and hearing the passing of such a lovely, kind and thoughtful man just made me realise how blessed we were with his boundless generosity and kindness. My sincerest sympathy and condolences and thoughts and prayers are with his family and friends at this time. We were really honoured to have had Steve in our Star Wars community, the Star Wars Commonwealth Podcast Network, and our lives. I always loved his contributions to posts and interactions that we had, and everything that we experienced with Steve was just amazing. At Retro Inc. and, as I say, within the podcast network. He always had such a wonderful presence. So from myself, Adam, Andy and Jeremy at Retro Inc., you'll be very sorely missed, my friend. Once again, thoughts and condolences are with his family and friends at this time. Steve, you are truly now at one with the Force. Rest in peace.